Ken Shamrock. Could Ken Shamrock be the next Impact World Champion? It's certainly something that has surprised a few people over the last few days. It is being discussed after it was revealed the card for Bound for Glory this year. The main event could indeed be Ken Shamrock going up against the Impact World Champion Eddie Edwards for the Impact World Championship. That, of course, was revealed this week with a report by Fightful Select, the guys over there at Fightful.com, the likes of Sean Ross Sapp, and those guys, very, very credible. We've already done a video discussing the card for Bound for Glory and the leaked card, the plans for Bound for Glory. So if you want to check that out, you want to see the full card that has been planned for Bound for Glory, be sure to check that out on the channel. But today we're going to talk specifically about Ken Shamrock. Could Ken Shamrock become the next Impact World Champion? But first, let's have a word from a great supporter of WrestleNews 365 here on the channel. Support for WrestleNews 365 is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Now, Manscaped, for all of my UK fans out there, Manscaped just launched in the UK. Over here in the United Kingdom, we have gone for years and years and years without using the right tools for the job. But now you can be one of the first men in England to experience their life-changing product. But it's not just limited to all of the great fans over here in the UK. This offer goes worldwide, so all of my friends over in America and around the world that are listening to this offer still does apply for you. You can still use our code. But I've got to tell you a quick story first. Now, there have been so many times, right? I'm a guy. You gotta groom down there, fellas, right? That's the most important thing. You gotta keep yourself trimmed. You gotta keep yourself proper. And a lot of the time, I've been guilty of this, of using the wrong tools for the job. I've had incidences, I'm not afraid to say it, where things have been nicked, snagged, or in fact cut down there because I wasn't being careful enough and using the right equipment. Now that just shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. You don't want to be worrying about cutting yourself down there. Do you know how painful that is? I can tell you, it hurts quite a lot. And I wish and hope to God it never happens to me again, and it won't happen to me ever again because I'm using Manscaped products. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. Big statement, but it's absolutely true. They have just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 in the UK. It's also available around the world as well. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. So those cuts and snags that I was telling you about before are a thing of the past. And let me tell you, when I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes so you can get a longer, perfect shave. And not only that, you don't want to be cutting yourself and trimming yourself all over the bathroom, getting hair all over the place. That's just disgusting. The lawnmower has a waterproof technology that allows you to groom in the shower, so no more mess. And one of the coolest features, one of my favorite features about the lawnmower is the LED light which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming experience. So you can shave longer, you can shave more precisely, and you can shave in the shower. What more did I need to tell you? They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology, and let's not forget about the charging stand. You can show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. So, if you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Let's get that bush to tush clean, and you can get 20% off and free shipping. Yeah, you heard me right there. 20% off and free shipping. All you have to do is use the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. Make your testes their besties. That's 20% off and free shipping. Not only are you getting 20% off, you're getting free shipping as well with the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code 365wrestle. Your balls will thank you. So, Bound for Glory takes place October 24, 2020. As I mentioned at the start of this video, this week it was reported by Fightful over there at Fightful Select, Fightful's Patreon service, that the Bound for Glory card has been seemingly revealed, or at least plans or parts of it have been revealed, leaked, whatever you want to call it. One of those matches reported on is a surprise main event, in my eyes certainly, for the Impact World Championship, that being the Impact World Champion Eddie Edwards defending against Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer, the first ever Impact World Champion, or the NWA World Champion it was at the time, but the first ever World Champion in the promotion's history back in 2002, Ken Shamrock. Now, I must say, as I mentioned, this was very, very surprising to me. I didn't see this one coming. I thought there might be other plans and other avenues that Impact would go for this main event. Ken Shamrock hasn't been doing a lot on Impact Wrestling television as of recently. Maybe that's the plan. For me, this is the thought that I have on it, and this was the thought I think of a lot of you guys in the comment section when I did the video the other day discussing about Bound for Glory and the plans for Bound for Glory. The real question is here, is it a Bound for Glory main event? Is it realistically a main event that's worthy of Bound for Glory? Now, we've seen over the last few weeks, Eddie Edwards has been doing the Open Challenge, right? And the Open Challenge format, I've spoken about it quite a lot here on the channel that, look, I like an Open Challenge, and I don't have really a problem with the Open Challenge format. I just think as a champion, not necessarily in Impact Wrestling, but this is maybe a professional wrestling thing, business-wide or industry-wide, that I think it's just been overdone. The whole, I'm a champion, I'm a defending champion, so I'm going to defend it against all comers. Every week I'm going to have an Open Challenge. We saw it with John Cena in the WWE with the United States Championship. We saw it with Cody in AEW for the TNT Championship. Now Eddie Edwards has also done it in Impact Wrestling. I don't have a problem necessarily with it, and I do think it's a good way of showing a babyface to be a defending champion. I don't care who I defend it against. I'm going to defend it every week against all comers. Not massively keen on it being that for the World Championship. I think that Open Challenge format suits better for a mid-card title. But it's been okay, and we've seen Eddie Edwards defeat the likes of RVD and others in recent weeks. We know that Eddie Edwards is going to be facing Eric Young next week on Impact Wrestling, and I even did a video on that this week discussing that I thought Eric Young potentially could become the world champion there, because I think Eric Young is the best heel in Impact Wrestling right now. I think he's arguably one of the hottest stars in Impact Wrestling right now. I think his work has just been that good in Impact Wrestling as of late. So I was very, very surprised when I saw the news that Ken Shamrock is likely to be facing Eddie Edwards at Bound for Glory for the World Championship, because it's kind of just come out of nowhere. As I mentioned, Ken Shamrock hasn't been doing much. We last saw him at Slammiversary. Now, you look at his accolades in Impact Wrestling specifically, you know, you don't even have to talk about his run in WWE, Intercontinental Champion, King of the Ring winner, his MMA credentials, of course, UFC legend, MMA legend. Just in Impact Wrestling alone, Ken Shamrock is an Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer. As I mentioned previously, he's the first ever world champion in the promotion's history. On that first ever TNA pay-per-view back in the day, he won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, at his age, he's 56 years old. He's got history with Impact Wrestling. Is this going to be his last run with the company, or his last run in professional wrestling in general? Since he came back, I think he's done a good job, and I think Impact Wrestling have done a good job. But as I mentioned, he's 56 years old. He can still go. But at this point, does Ken Shamrock want to carry on going? Has he maybe spoken to Impact Wrestling, say, you know what, my plan was just to return to pro wrestling for a little while, just to show everyone that I could do it, but I'm not going to stay around forever kind of deal. Maybe that's the reason we're having Ken Shamrock facing Eddie Edwards here at Bound for Glory. Maybe that's the reason. Because for so many years, and I definitely was part of this, for so many years, I was saying out loud with WWE, why are you not bringing Ken Shamrock back? He's a legitimate MMA badass. He's got history with WWE. That was the most important thing as well. He's got history with WWE. He was red hot during the Attitude Era. For one, he wouldn't have been out of place winning the WWE Championship in the Attitude Era. I think if you don't have two massively hot guys and two of the biggest stars the industry has ever produced in Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, I think Ken Shamrock could have easily been the WWE champion during that period of time. Ken Shamrock was fantastic. And you go and look at Ken Shamrock reactions he was getting from the crowd in 97 and 98. He was one of the most over guys on the WWE roster at that point. So for many, many years, I think a lot of people were saying, why aren't you having Ken Shamrock back? He's a known commodity, he's a valuable commodity. There's a lot you can do there with Ken Shamrock. So it was very, very surprising. And I think this return to Impact Wrestling over the last 18 months or so, maybe it might even be a bit longer than that, was all about proving to people, I can still go. I can still do what people remember me doing. And Ken Shamrock has absolutely proved that. So maybe this is the end of his run with Impact. Maybe that's what they want to do. Maybe they want to have Ken Shamrock go out in the main event of Bound for Glory. As I mentioned, Impact Hall of Famer, first ever world champion with the promotion. They could play it up as Ken Shamrock, if he loses, he retires kind of deal. That is worthy of a Bound for Glory main event. Just Ken Shamrock versus Eddie Edwards alone for the World Championship, is that a Bound for Glory worthy main event? I don't think so. So there's a lot to look into and there's a lot to discuss when it comes to Ken Shamrock in this main event with Eddie Edwards at Bound for Glory. Now, it's no discussion whether or not he can't go or he can go, because he absolutely can. I think every time Ken Shamrock has competed in Impact Wrestling in this most recent run, I think he's done fine. Can he do what he used to do all of those years ago? No, obviously not. And that was always going to be the case with Ken Shamrock. As I mentioned, he's 56 years old. He's not going to be exactly the same Ken Shamrock that he was all those years ago in the Attitude Era. But he absolutely has proved that he's still got something to give and he still can compete. We haven't seen him since Slammiversary. Of course, at Slammiversary, he was in a tag team with Sami Callihan, the kind of whole frenemies angle, right? The best partner is maybe your best enemy. He had the feud with Sami Callihan. They teamed up to face the North at Slammiversary. They didn't win the Impact World Tag Team Championships, and we haven't really seen him since. Now, because we haven't seen him since Slammiversary, and we know he's going to be in this big featured spot at Bound for Glory, potentially could we see a heel turn for Ken Shamrock? I myself enjoyed Ken Shamrock, of course, as a babyface during his WWE run, but I also enjoyed a lot of Ken Shamrock as a heel. And I think now that he's older and he is 56 years old and he's got that past, Ken Shamrock's quite a polarizing figure anyway, let's be honest. Ken Shamrock isn't universally liked. He's got a very polarizing personality. He's a straight shooter. He says it how it is. He shares his opinion. Some people like that. Some people don't like that. So that works for me in professional wrestling. That's great for professional wrestling. He can have a heel turn. He can maybe play up that he isn't getting the respect that he deserves. He's an Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer. He teams up with someone at Slammiversary and then he's not good enough to even get on the show. It's disrespectful, right? So he could do a heel turn there. He could also, by facing Eddie Edwards in the main event at Bound for Glory, he can sort of do the whole passing the torch situation, because I think Eddie Edwards would win there. I can't see Ken Shamrock at 56 years old becoming the Impact World Champion. It would certainly make news, but would it be the right thing to do? I don't think so. So I haven't had a problem with the use of Ken Shamrock recently and during this run in Impact. I think he's done a good job. I enjoyed his feud with Sami Callihan. I enjoyed his feud with Moose. I think he's done well in getting over the younger talent and working with the right talent. And I think this will just be another case of trying to get over a younger talent and put over the promotion's champion. He's still an absolute name. There's no doubt about that. If they're promoting Bound for Glory and they want to get eyeballs on the product, saying that Ken Shamrock is in the main event, MMA legend, Impact Hall of Famer, former WWE Intercontinental Champion and King of the Ring winner, that absolutely would get people talking. Whether or not it would get people talking in the right way is another issue there. That is my big concern about this potential match, is I worry about Impact Wrestling doing the past mistakes. Now, they did this quite a few times in the 2000s, right? They put guys in the main event of the big shows that maybe weren't the right guys to put in there. They should have been focusing on younger talent, homegrown talent, instead of ex-WWE guys. Now, Ken Shamrock, he is an ex-WWE guy, but he hasn't worked for WWE since, 1999. So it's a bit difficult to say he's a WWE guy, but it is potentially a repeat of the mistakes that hurt them so bad in the 2000s. Bound for Glory, historically, and maybe this hasn't been the case since Slammiversary was so big for Impact Wrestling this year, but Bound for Glory is meant to be Impact Wrestling's biggest show of the year, right? It's meant to be Impact Wrestling's WrestleMania. It's meant to be Impact Wrestling's version of Starrcade and anything like that. You should theoretically be featuring the guys you're going to build the company around. So you have to look at who's the top babyface and the top heel in Impact Wrestling right now. In terms of star power, I would suggest that maybe the biggest star and the person you want to build the company around right now is EC3. Now, we don't really know the details of EC3's contract with Impact Wrestling right now. As far as I'm aware, he has signed with Impact Wrestling. There is a discussion about him actually being a free agent, working on a handshake deal with Impact Wrestling. I don't think that's the case, but we also know that EC3 is working with Ring of Honor right now. I guess it's already happened. It hasn't aired yet, but he has been at the Ring of Honor television tapings this week, so we know that EC3 is going to be debuting with Ring of Honor very, very soon, which would imply that EC3 is maybe slightly non-committal about just being at one company right now. And I don't know the details or the inner details of his contract with Impact Wrestling right now. To me, that would suggest that he's got clauses that he can work with other companies. And I suppose, technically, do you want to be building the company around someone that is appearing at other promotions and might be using the company as a stepping stone to go somewhere else or to get himself over? Maybe not. But I do think EC3, if you can tie him down to an exclusive deal, is the kind of guy you want to build the company around. Now, you look at the biggest heel in Impact Wrestling right now for me, and I said it before, is Eric Young. I don't think that's in any doubt. Eric Young is the biggest heel in the company right now. He retired Rich Swann. He's attacked Rich Swann multiple times. His promos have been great. The guy is all over the promotional material for Bound for Glory, right? They shot that advert with Eric Young in the prison, being multiple people in the prison. I think his segments recently on Impact Wrestling have just been phenomenal. I think he's doing some of his best work. He's wrestling and acting with a chip on his shoulder from his disastrous WWE run, and I just think he's doing some of the best work he's ever done. And I really do think, out of all the people that debuted at Slammiversary or returned to Impact Wrestling at Slammiversary, in the case of Eric Young, I think he's doing the best, and I think he feels like the biggest star to return to the company right now. Arguably, though, the biggest babyface in the company should be a world champion, and I would probably say that's probably true in Eddie Edwards. He's probably the biggest babyface they've got right now. But you look at all three guys there. You look at EC3 for Bound for Glory. It's looking like he's going to be facing Moose for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, so you can't do that match. The biggest heel, he's occupied because he's in the feud, and he's going to have the match with Rich Swann, according to Fightful Select, at Bound for Glory, so he's occupied. So that kind of leads Eddie Edwards, and it kind of feels like Impact are thinking, well, we need to have Eddie to have an opponent. The only guy with credibility maybe to be in that main event picture for the Impact World Championship maybe is Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock is still legit. Even at 56, he could still probably destroy 99% of the roster, so he is legitimate. He's a legitimate former MMA, UFC World Champion. Again, my concern is Eddie Edwards versus Ken Shamrock the best main event you can do? Is this the best main event for the biggest show of the year? And my answer to that, my initial reaction to that is probably no. Probably no, unless there are stipulations and add-ons added to it. If it is a title versus career match, that is probably the biggest main event you can do. Because Ken Shamrock is a Hall of Famer. He should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. He shouldn't just be in the Impact Hall of Fame. I don't know, again, the situation with his contract. I don't know the situation where he's thinking about his headspace and how long he wants to continue to wrestle for. Ken Shamrock versus Eddie Edwards is just your main event for the World Championship at Bound for Glory. Probably would have people go, I feel like you could do better. Ken Shamrock versus Eddie Edwards in a title versus career match as the main event of Bound for Glory. Now that would get people talking. That would get people excited. So again, I don't know if that is the plan. I would hope it is the plan, because just having Eddie Edwards versus Ken Shamrock as the main event just doesn't really do it for me. But if you look at the roster right now, who could realistically take up that spot of Ken Shamrock at Bound for Glory? There aren't many. There really aren't many. I would have said you could have revisited the feud between Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards, right? Sami Callihan, the baseball bat to the face, that kind of deal. But they recently did that on Impact Wrestling anyway. They recently did the open challenge. Sami Callihan accepted and Eddie Edwards defeated him. So they've already shot that angle on Impact. And again, if they did that for Bound for Glory now, I would say, well, you did it on Impact a few weeks ago. It doesn't feel special anymore. I would have also liked to see Mike Bennett versus Eddie Edwards, because Mike Bennett and Eddie Edwards do have history in Impact Wrestling. Mike Bennett defeated Eddie Edwards to become the X Division champion in Impact Wrestling whilst Mike Bennett was with the company. Eddie Edwards won it back off of Mike Bennett in an Ultimate X match, so they've got the history in there. But we did the video. Ironically, we did the video yesterday about Mike Bennett. Could Mike and Maria be coming back to Impact Wrestling? Could they go to Ring of Honor, reform the Kingdom with Matt Taven, etc.? Then, wouldn't you know it, I guess luck, or maybe I have a sixth sense for these kind of things. But Mike Bennett last night challenged Nick Aldis for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. So it looks like on that first weekly pay-per-view that NWA are going to be doing on Fight TV, Mike Bennett will be facing Nick Aldis. So it doesn't look to me like Mike Bennett will be back in Impact Wrestling anytime soon. Perhaps he's going to be regularly working with NWA now. If NWA start to get the NWA Power tapings back up and they finally do the Crockett Cup, easy for me to say, pay-per-view, then maybe Mike Bennett could be going to NWA, to the National Wrestling Alliance. That doesn't surprise me so much. It surprised me that, because obviously NWA weren't really running shows at the moment, but it doesn't surprise me because Mike Bennett is a big Billy Corgan guy. Mike Bennett left the company Impact Wrestling once Billy Corgan left Impact Wrestling back in 2017, so it really doesn't surprise me. Billy Corgan's a big fan of Mike Bennett. Mike Bennett is a big fan of working with Billy Corgan, so it's not the most surprising thing in the world. I suppose that the surprising thing is that NWA are back up and running shows again, which is great to see. Possibly the only other thing I could think then, because you're looking at these options, like I said, there aren't many options, so maybe the Ken Shamrock, Eddie Edwards match does make sense. The only thing I think could be bigger than that, if they don't do the whole title versus career scenario, is maybe having Major League Wrestling and Impact Wrestling crossover. I'd be very interested in seeing champion versus champion, Eddie Edwards versus Jacob Fatu. Now that would be worthy of a main event of Bound for Glory. Or even have Eddie Edwards go up against Alex Hammerstone. That would be a lot of fun and worthy for the biggest show of the year. But maybe that's not likely at the moment. We know that MLW are working and getting their shows back up and running. They've got a COVID-19 compliance officer. They're very, very big on making sure it's safe to do the shows. But MLW will be restarting soon. Court Bauer, the CEO of MLW, has said that it's not off the table to work with Impact Wrestling. They did have a relationship before, and they'd like to work together again. So maybe they can do something like that. But as of right now, the plan is to have Eddie Edwards go up against Ken Shamrock. Like I said, don't know the stipulations, but I think they should add one on there, because otherwise it just feels like a bit of a letdown of a main event for the biggest show of the year. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Ken Shamrock possibly being the next world champion? Ken Shamrock facing Eddie Edwards at Bound for Glory in the main event for the Impact World Championship. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments down there. Really enjoy chatting with you guys on this channel. If you're down there in the comments section, you can take advantage of our offer there with Manscaped. You can get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. All you have to do is use the code 365WRESTLE. That's 20% off and free shipping. Just use the code 365WRESTLE. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button as well. Really just help us out. Go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds here on YouTube if they haven't seen our videos before. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. You can also follow us on our social media platforms. The handles on the screen right now, the links are in the description box below. It's at 365Wrestle on Twitter and at Wrestle News 365 on Facebook and Instagram. So be sure to give us a like or a follow there if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.